Distinguished guests, please welcome Mayor of the City of Cohoes, Bill Keeler. Mayor of the Village of Cambridge, Carmen Bogle. Mayor of the Village of Coxsackie, Mark Evans. Mayor of the Village of Kinderhook, Michael Abrams. And the 57th Governor of the State of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning. What a house. We are so glad to have you here at the Cohoes Music Hall on this beautiful morning. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Owen Smith, and I am a proud Capital Region native, a proud resident of the City of Cohoes, and along with my team from Playhouse Stage Company, I'm honored to manage this historic building. This is a venue that next year will celebrate 150 years since its opening. A venue that has hosted such legends as Buffalo Bill Cody, Annie Oakley, George M. Cohan. So what better place to gather than a place with such history on what is most assuredly a historic day for the Spindle City and for our state. And we're so blessed to have a governor who in her own right is historic, here with us today to make such a special announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, she makes history every day working hard for the state of New York. Please welcome the 57th Governor of New York State, Kathy Hochul.
Thank you. Thank you, Owen. Wow, wonderful welcome. This is where the original Buffalo Bills were played? Is that what he said? No, I know, it's Buffalo Bill Cody and a few others. John Philip Sousa played here. This is quite an extraordinary place, and I'm delighted to be here. So Owen, thank you for what you do as the keeper of this beautiful jewel. Make sure it's continuing polished up, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But also, Mayor Bill Keeler of this extraordinary community. This community just oozes charm and character and personality. I want to thank you for all you do as our great mayor. Let's give our mayor of Cohoes another round of applause. Carmen Bogle, the mayor of Cambridge, is here. Thank you, Carmen, for stepping up to lead your community. Mark Evans, the mayor of Coxsackie. Thank you, Mayor, and also Michael Abrams, the mayor of Kinderhook. So happy to see everybody. We also have some of our other friends in government. We have Assemblyman John McDonald has joined us, Assembly member. Scott Bennett, another member of the Assembly. Scott. Jacob Ashby, State Senator, thank you for coming. Also, Mike Lyons, the president of the Greater Capital Region Building and Construction Trades, and all my friends in labor who are building back our communities one street at a time. So it's great to be here. Thank you. You know, there's a lot of history in this building. You just walk in and the charm is incredible. And this is the 4th oldest actively performing arts center in America. So you've kept it going, and I cannot wait to be back here for the 150th celebration. And it's a monument to this unique type of architecture, well preserved. And so many people have performed here, as you heard from Owen, you know, Jimmy Durante and all these others. And I want to thank all of you for just keeping this going. It's beautiful, I'm proud of it. And it didn't hurt that we were able to help you with $2.3 million from the state last month, so glad to keep the renovations going. And you think about history, you know, you go out west and they think history started in, you know, early 1900s or so. You come here and we know the great history of Henry Hudson coming up the river, and many communities followed in the aftermath, the city of Albany and others. But this place, you know, was the result of the first bridge across the Mohawk River back in the 1700s. And this place, and I don't think people realize this was one of the earliest places and became one of the largest cotton producers in the world. Did you know that? One of the largest cotton producers in the world right here in Cohoes. So there's stories that I want to think about, the glorious past, but that's always part of our story. It's always going to be there. It's always preserved. But I want to talk about the present, and the future, and how we can leave a mark in our communities, just as those who came before us, who believed in this area, who believed in the capital regions, who built up industries and created wealth and downtowns that are so vibrant. Again, the architecture here is so beautiful. And you don't need to spend more than 5 minutes walking the streets here to realize this is a community on the upswing, and the promising opportunities for people who live here and believe in this, and commercial corridors that are refilling up with small businesses and loft apartments and bustling storefronts. This is an alive place. And what it does is it also draws younger people to our communities, and young people who grew up here don't have to go to another place to build their lives and their families. They can stay right here. And that is so important to me. You know where I'm from, a small community outside of Buffalo, town of Hamburg, village of Hamburg, a small village, similar architecture, similar history. Hamburg claims to have invented the hamburger. No one's disputed that, so I'm going to stick with that one. But I also know that downtowns can fall into decline. I saw that when the big industries left, and my small town where I grew up and thought it was a great community had all these going out of business signs and closed and for rent signs, and the downtown just really disintegrated into almost nothing. Everybody left. And now for our downtowns to be able to come back with support from the state, this is something that I'm so proud to be able to do as governor. This is one of my favorite initiatives, is to talk about the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, because 14 years in local government taught me that you can have all the plans on the books you want, but you rarely have enough money to do it all at once. You know, we'll do this year, and then in a couple of years we'll be able to do this and do this. And when you can have this concentration of money, $10 million all in one shot, to be able to execute the vision brought forth not by Albany, but by the people who care so deeply about this community, the elected leaders, having a mayor who's so supportive, bringing together his team, the community leaders, the shop owners, all of you who had an idea that we could be even better than we are. And that's why programs like this are so extraordinary. So I'm very proud to announce that the City of Cohoes is the hey, getting a little ahead of us there. Get a little ahead of us, Mike. Mike, I saw that. We'll let Mike lead off the cheers to announce the $10 million recipient of the Downtown Revitalization Award. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So what are you going to do with all the money, Mayor? We're going to reinvigorate our historic places so they're here 150 years from now. That's our responsibility. The City Hall, the Music Hall, the beautiful public library you have here. I mean, the public libraries are just so beautiful and have, you know, a story. I talk often about the little Carnegie Library we had in my hometown, where I grew up with a big family, and the only way I could escape all my loud siblings was to go to the library. So I read a lot of books, and so that's such an important cornerstone of many of our downtowns. But to have a theater and a library, I mean, this is the foundation. But I do believe that you see the vision, as the people in this room see the vision, to even do more to meet the needs of our people. Want to be here. They want to be in a walkable downtown, and we want a welcoming and walkable downtown. And let's make some enhancements to the streetscape. You know, we did this in my hometown. You know, just the signage and the facade improvements and even the bump outs to make it easier to walk across the street. All these make a community so walkable. You may not even know it when you're experiencing it, but you also notice when it's not there. You also recognize challenges. So we're going to work on increasing our population density here as well, because people are discovering our small towns and small villages, cities. And I believe that the future is limitless. So we're going to think about the people, small business owners starting out. You know, I have this dream, like my mom had this dream of starting a small flower shop. My mother knew nothing about business, retail. All she knew is she didn't like the flowers that the local florist did for my brother's wedding, and therefore her daughter, the lawyer, who had been out of law school 1 month, was now going to start this business for her. So that went fine. I don't know that she ever made much money, but she wanted to hire women from the community, women who had been displaced. They called them displaced homemakers at the time. So my mom used this as her way to give back, started a small business. I was involved in starting our local business association. That's kind of propelled me into politics. And so for small businesses, this is a sign that this is a community that matters. So this is the place to plant your flag right here. And for young families starting out, again, the housing stock, we're going to continue growing that, but that's what we have to do is meet those needs. People want to be here. And I'm supportive of all these projects because they're also envisioning more housing coming to our downtowns and in the surrounding areas. Because you can have a great community, but nobody else can enjoy it. You can't expand it. Even people who grew up in this community can't live there with their own families to raise the kids near the grandparents, which is so important. I'm a grandmother now. I know this is important. If we don't build the housing around it and create ways to take abandoned buildings and turn them into places that people can start a family. So this is how it all begins. And so I also want to mention that there's some littler towns around us, little villages that have the same kind of needs, who have a vision. And this is also an opportunity. I started this last year. We had the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, was always $10 million, which is transformative, without a doubt. And we'll be back over the next year to talk about the projects that are funded. Of course, everybody puts in about $20 million worth of projects they want, and we'll get it down to 10. But we want your vision to have the real stamp on all this. But also, there's smaller communities where even $10 million was beyond the scale. So I said, let's start something for smaller communities. Let's start what we call the New York Forward program and have smaller grant amounts, where a small downtown, something like $2.5 million can make a difference. And so I'm proud to announce that the Village of Cambridge will receive a $2.5 million award grant. There you go, Mayor Vogel. Congratulations. This is a charming town nestled in the Adirondacks. It's so beautiful there. It has a vibrant artistic community that thrives along the farms, Victorian era opera house and hotels. And it's another area where if we don't invest the money now to preserve these jewels, then they're gone. And shame on us if we don't do that. So you have a great farmer's market, and there's already a great number of reasons to visit, but we're going to make it even better. An incubator, you want to have an incubator for entrepreneurs and artists, and build up the recreational economy. And again, new housing. And thank you for having the vision to say that your downtown can be more vibrant if people can actually live above the storefronts. That's the key. That's the key. Change the zoning. Whatever barriers exist to having housing above the storefronts, break them down, because those are the most lively communities that I've seen throughout the state of New York. So congratulations to Cambridge, and I look forward to visiting once again soon as we start to unfold these projects. But Cambridge isn't going to be the only community benefiting today. Let's just keep it going. To our friends in Kinderhook, very happy to be able to support a community that you're proud of as the birthplace of President Martin Van Buren. Bigger deal to me is that he was a governor. I mean, Governor Martin Van Buren. So let's celebrate the birth of the New York's 9th governor. And the Village of Kinderhook will also receive over a $2.5 million New York Forward grant. Congratulations to Mayor Michael Abrams. Again, wonderful downtown, restaurants, shops, a vibrant arts community. And I know you want to kickstart a number of projects and help with, again, building housing that's affordable, so important, preserving our landmark structures as well. So I know Kinderhook has been waiting for this kind of investment, and now you have it, and I cannot wait to see what you accomplish. So congratulations to everyone from Kinderhook as well. Let's not forget the Village of Coxsackie, which will receive a $4.5 million award from the New York Forward Grant. Congratulations to Mayor Mark Evans. Known as Hudson River's front porch, they've undergone a remarkable transformation during recent years. And the news is out. I mean, this is a place people want to be, they want to live there. And a downtown that, if you take the before and after pictures, the boarded up downtown, how it's flourishing today with new businesses continuing to open and want to be there. And the Wire Event Center and the Newbury Hotel and all these other great places to visit. It's no surprise that families want to settle there. People just want that sense of place. And I think that's one of the outgrowths of the pandemic, is that people were in search of community that they had lost for those 2 years of isolation. And they want to be back together, and they want to kind of go back to the the good old days, if you will. And that also draws us to our small towns that really haven't changed. If you look at the main streets, they haven't changed in 100 years. That's if you do it right, if you preserve the architecture, the downtowns, and continue to add to them and bring more life and more people, but never lose that original charm that defines them. So we've already invested more than $3 million to improve the Riverside Park, because our waterfront properties are so precious to us, and it's amazing how they were overlooked for so long. When you go along the Hudson River, I live in Buffalo, I look at waterfront, we had a steel plant take up some of the most beautiful prime real estate. But people are now rethinking the use of the waterfront and how this really is an asset. And people are just calmed by the water. And any way we can make connections to waterfronts and make it easier for people to just walk to or bicycle to, it just lifts up the spirit and adds something special to our communities. So we're going to continue our commitment to Coxsackie, and I know you're going to use the funding to protect historic assets. Again, what's really important, protect our assets, build more housing, increase the housing so we don't have to say goodbye to people, that we can drive down prices, which are starting to really become, prohibitive for families starting out, or a young person who wants to start their life here, or senior citizens just simply looking to downsize and live in the communities in their older years. They don't have that availability of housing. So I'm leaning hard into, this idea of, building more housing, simply because other states are far ahead of us. We're losing people to our neighboring states because they have more supply, therefore the prices are cheaper. Again, it's real simple economics here. So that's what I'm focusing on. I'm supporting communities that have their own vision. I'm encouraging others who don't have the same vision to understand that this is a matter of survival. Building more housing and creating housing, all levels of housing. That first apartment, that first condo, the first little house. I mean, this is the trajectory of my life, my parents' life. We all had a chance to live in tiny places. My first place was 600 square feet, and I thought it was the best thing I'd ever have. But then I had opportunities to move ahead and move ahead and move ahead because there was enough housing. And if we don't offer that, then people and communities are becoming stifled. So I'm real excited about our New York Housing Compact, which proposes 800,000 new housing units over the next decade. It is so doable. It's asking each community to grow upstate by 1% over the next few years. That I guarantee every community can go right past that. But I also want to lift up communities that want to do this but don't have the resources for infrastructure. Again, 14 years on a town board, I knew all the ways that you could make a project happen. I was on the liaison to I was on the town board, our zoning board, our planning board, our traffic safety board. But also I know all the ways that people can say no, that just put up barriers and roadblocks. And that's how a community stagnates. And I don't want to see that happen here in upstate. We now have businesses who want to be here. Large companies are discovering us, and they are attracted by what we have here. The great quality of life, the access to the most beautiful natural wonders, the rivers, the mountains, the Erie Canal, man-made, but it's still extraordinary. So we have what people want. We also have to give them a place to live. And that's what I'm asking all elected leaders to support, is giving them a place to live. We'll support the infrastructure costs. We'll help tremendously with sewers. We'll help with the planning. So I also want us to talk about, as we revitalize downtowns and preserve the charm, we have to think about the future and what we want to look like in the future. We want to be a place that has the capacity to handle our children, their families, our parents, and all the businesses who want to invest in upstate New York, which is now it's finally happening. It took a long time in my life to see this. It's finally starting to happen. It's an exciting era for all of us. And again, as we sit in a place that's so filled with history, the people who sat here and envisioned this, like in 1874, the two people who put this together, I think one was a local newspaper man. And they just thought this would be great to have this as a community asset. He wasn't the smartest newspaper man because he sold out his share 4 years later for a quarter. So to his partner, that was not smart. He should have stuck with the newspapers. But as a result of those individuals seeing something, seeing the potential, they built this masterpiece. And it's up to all of us to make sure that we continue to protect this, but also envision a future just like they did back 150 years ago. I want people 150 years from now to look back and say what we did in 2023, investing in these communities, building the housing, was a catalyst for a future which was absolutely unstoppable. So thank you, everyone. Congratulations, and let me offer an opportunity for Mayor Keeler from the great City of Cohoes to tell us how you're going to spend $10 million.
Well, thank you, Governor Hochul. It's an honor and a privilege to welcome you to Cohoes. And it's actually a rare event for a sitting governor to visit Cohoes, despite the close proximity to Albany. In living memory, I can't recall the last time it happened. Good morning, Cohoes, and thank you all for being here. It is a great day in our city. But I want to start off with a confession. I didn't find out that the governor was coming here until Tuesday, and I was told that she was bringing good news, and it was about economic development, and I hoped it was about the DRI, and I really hoped it was the $10 million, but it was a well-kept secret until she just made the announcement. So my team and I kept the secret ourselves. Knowing that the governor hails from Buffalo, and it would follow that she's a Buffalo Bills fan, I didn't want any of my team to let it out before the ink was on that check that I'm a huge, lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fan. But in all seriousness, Governor Hochul is committed to ensuring adequate housing in New York State for not only current residents, but for future residents as well that are drawn to New York by the expanding job opportunities that are arriving under her leadership. And she's tackling housing shortage issues in cities, towns, and villages across the state. So here in Cohoes, the funding that she announced today will go a long way to improving and expanding the housing stock here in Cohoes. At this time, I think it's only appropriate that I acknowledge our Director of Community and Economic Development, Steve Napier, who spearheaded our DRI application. Steve. And he was assisted this year by our city planner, Joe Seaman Graves. Congratulations, guys. Well done, but now the hard work really begins. And I want to congratulate the other award winners, too, multi-million-dollar awards that'll go a long way in your communities. Aside from being mayor, I'm a proud 8th-generation Cohosier, and I've lived here my whole life. And I can tell you that the downtown Cohoes of my youth was a vibrant and bustling place, and it was heady times. In 1966, Cohoes was named an All-America City, and in 1970, the city celebrated its centennial in style. Back in those days, when the start of the school year, my parents would take us downtown for shirts and pants and belts at Kramer's Armory and the Cohoes men's and boys shop. And then we'd walk down a block to Carol's Shoes and get a new pair of shoes for the school year. Remsen Street was just an eclectic mix of businesses that just filled all the storefronts. If you needed jewelry, you'd shop at Tim Payne's. If you needed furniture, it was National Furniture. Paint, wallpaper, Deichers, flooring, Myron's, and on it went. The downtown, we had our hometown bakery, we had Cohoes Savings Bank, we had the 5 and dime stores, Jupiter's and Woolworth's, and much, much more. It was a happening place. But then by 1970, it was the advent of malls, and then box stores came along. And each of those businesses that I just mentioned eventually folded, and our downtown has not been the same since. But today we are reimagining that downtown, and with this DRI funding, long vacant buildings will soon have ground floor restaurants, entertainment shops, shopping, supported by new residents who live in apartments up above, some of them micro apartments. DRI funding will ensure that new buildings go up on our now vacant fire site on Remsen Street, which has been vacant for a couple of years now following a fire. So these new buildings will house new apartments, which will mean more customers and expanded business hours. And the expanded business hours will draw in more people to Cohoes who will want to live in these apartments, who will draw in new businesses. So it'll just be an upward spiral that this DRI really gives us the pop that we've been waiting for years. And the governor alluded to it, but with the funding she provided last year, work is underway on preserving and restoring and electrifying our historic city-owned buildings, the City Hall, our public library, and our beautiful Cohoes Music Hall. So we're deeply grateful for Governor Hochul's support, and we appreciate the confidence placed in Cohoes by Mike Yevely and the team at ESD. We thank you all very much. There's too many dignitaries in the room, too many VIPs to name individually. In fact, you're all here because you're a VIP in one respect or another. But I did want to give a shout out to the student council and the student leadership team that joined us here today on a field trip, some of them walking down from their respective schools. There's 3 elementary schools in Cohoes. And last year, last month, one of the SL classes came over to City Hall. And they're a great group. They asked me some hard questions, and one of them was, what does leadership mean? And so kids, what you're witnessing today is leadership in action. The leadership that Governor Hochul is providing today will undo 50 years of neglect to our downtown, and it will provide you going forward with the downtown that I enjoyed when I was your age. So we're deeply grateful to you, Governor, for this. We're honored to have you here with us today. You're an inspiration to these kids, especially the girls. And your visit today will be remembered for its own sake, but also for the transformational change you bring with you today. So thank you very much.